Welcome to the 6-5 podcast. I am your host, Daniel Newman, principal analyst and founding partner at Futurum Research, joined by my always esteemed co-host entering the new 2021 year with a bang, Patrick Moorhead of Moor Insights and Strategy. Patrick, welcome to the 6-5 show today. And by the way, 6-5 Insiders show today that I know we're both really excited about.
Daniel, great to see you. I think about a year ago, and I forget if I was either heavily prepping for on-prem CES 2020, or if I was already there. I guess it's only been a year, but we are definitely doing a virtual CES 2021 this year, aren't we?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of virtual this year. It is 2021. A year ago, we had no idea quite what 21 would look like. We talked about that in our end of year show and our wrap up. I think even midway through 2020, we thought, hey, by 2021, we're going to probably be back out on the road. And then as late 2020 kind of happened, we're like, holy cow, 2021, at least the first half is going to look an awful lot like 2020. And here we are, the world's largest consumer electronics show is going to be done remotely. And by the way, just about every major event, I think, in the first at least 6 months of 21 will also be done remote.
That's right. So without further ado, let's jump into this special insider edition here. And we are very happy to have Alex Cho, president of personal systems at HP. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I had a couple of weeks where the company was slowed down for the holidays, and we're ready for 2021. Great to see you guys again after a year.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. You were one of our first guests on our Insider show, and like we've done close to 100 since. It's been crazy, but the appetite for people to get good content online has just gone up astronomically for us. Neither Daniel or I consider ourselves YouTubers. We are industry analysts, but hey, why keep all this great content locked up behind a paywall? We want to make sure opinions on this great tech are here. And anyways, great to have you on the show. And there's a big show coming up, CES, and whether it's in person or virtual does not stop the tech show for HP. So, but before we dive into that, I know being president of the Personal Systems Group, people can derive what you do at the company, but can you talk about in the big picture of HP what you do?
Sure. I'd love to talk about what I do. Thank you. The way I think about it is I am responsible for helping to design solutions that help people stay productive and keep learning and be secure and be cared for. I mean, especially during this time, I'd say that the opportunity for us from what we call personal systems, and personal systems spans PC devices, yes, but the rich ecosystem of peripherals and displays and services, all of that we innovate around in order to help people, again, stay working, stay learning, stay connected, continue to be entertained, even if they have to be sheltered in place or not traveling.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Alex, you've been a multi-timer here. You joined us. We did our first podcast blitz in, I believe it was like April timeframe, when the shutdown kind of first really became a big reality in our lives, and tech was really coping. And you came on and you talked to us about what HP was doing. And then you joined us again, gave a great keynote on something called the PC is Essential. And we'll talk about that throughout the show today at our 6-5 Summit, which we're thrilled to be actually doing our second edition this year. But here we are, new year, 2021, and it is a reality for big companies like HP that are traditionally extraordinary at showcasing their wares at big live events, big exhibition halls, fancy devices, very soft carpet in your booth, very hard floors everywhere else. Mileage and mileage and mileage. But I want to talk about this because, you know, I want to get to your products and I'm excited to break all that. But look, this has got to be so different. 100% remote. I just got to know. I mean, I know you're probably not the event person, but you're involved in so much of the planning. What does that look like? What is planning and prepping for an event of this size and magnitude when it's gone 100% virtual look like?
Well, you're right. I mean, first is it's all different. And, you know, different doesn't necessarily mean bad, but it is different. And in fact, what we're finding is there's a lot of things that you can do uniquely in virtual that you actually couldn't do physically. So it's all of that combined. For us, if anything, think about the space that we're in. We're in computing. And last year when we started to say the PC is essential, the PC is essential, we had not even anticipated that it's so much more than even what we had thought. And that is, it's the primary way that people are connecting. And people need to connect. It is a fundamental need people have. But it's also the way by which these things like events are happening. It's the way by which people are learning and staying educated and going to school. And so for me, what this all means is, yes, it's different. There are things that we have to learn, but it's opening up new ways. As an example, you can get a lot more content. You can cover a lot more territory. I'm talking to more customers and partners than I ever did.
Interesting.
It is so much more efficient. So the ability to get a lot of content and exposure and conversations and to cover that territory efficiently. Wow. I love that. I love that, the efficiency of doing that in this kind of medium.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought in there are, you know, we hear all the cons, right? Which I totally get of that, but it's actually refreshing to hear some of the pros. And I have too. I mean, I have talked to more customers from either IT or vendors than I ever did. I have a Book Me calendar, and that Book Me calendar is booked you know, from morning to night. And in some ways it's awesome. In some ways it's a little bit of a curse because I feel like I'm at a big company where I need to plan thinking time because, you know, we are in a luxurious position as industry analysts that we get to be able to think. But before I digress, we're going to jump into the products, but I would love for you to set the stage for overall what you look at, the overall themes for CES 2021, kind of how you approached the way that you packaged everything up, things that are important as you get into this.
Yeah. So let me just build on this topic around the PC being essential. I mean, you heard that a lot from us last year, and we realized, wow, this category that we're in is not only useful, but it's essential for all the areas that we've talked about, for work, for learning, for healthcare. And as we entered into 2021, we realized the PC is certainly important, but what we need to focus on are the people, because it's people who are essential. You know, our biggest learning is, yes, PCs are essential because people are essential, and it's so important to enable them. And so for us, heading into 2021, we've spent a lot more time focusing in on the key people that we want to innovate for. So we're looking at the worker who is working in a hybrid environment. We are paying attention to the SMB who's dealing with a unique set of challenges. Guess what? We're also paying attention to the IT manager of today. Different set of challenges and needs than the IT manager of pre-COVID. What do they need? And then as well, all of these creatives, especially youth and their desire to want to express themselves. So we're really focusing on the people behind where all this innovation needs to serve. And maybe the second thing is, it's all about experiences. You know, it's funny, I was thinking about CES. Maybe we should rebrand it the Consumer Experience Show, because it's a great indication of what we think is more important than just a product, and that's the experience we're delivering for these people, particularly in the new normal. And that kind of gives you the backdrop of a lot of innovation that we are really excited about.
There's no question that you're clearly setting the stage. You were so right. And by the way, the demise of the PC was largely, greatly, exponentially overstated. And so if we ever saw a time, and by the way, kind of as a sidebar, I actually think if you poll the world, well, people like myself and sometimes Pat, who and probably you, who did travel a lot, maybe complained a little. We miss humans. I think a lot of people are really kind of enjoying this. I think a lot of people, with the exception of the background of the pandemic, are actually sort of enjoying being at home more. I'll tell you one thing, Alex, just on a personal note. I got more FaceTime with my family, with my daughter going off to college. I have kids 19, 15, and 4 now. And I got a whole year with my son, a whole year with my wife. Like, I hadn't had a year with my family in forever. So it's kind of awesome. And at the same time, as Pat said, on my PC, because of Zoom and WebEx and Teams, I had more meetings and saw more customers than I'd ever seen in a single year. So there was a lot of good to it. But all right, it's easy to digress. The stuff I just sense your passion, Alex. And
I agree.
I love that you're really finding a way to make the best of this. But I want to talk about the announcement. So the company has a bunch of announcements. You're entering some new categories. Let's hit some highlights of the announcements of CES, so we can dive a little bit more into that.
Sure. So just to add to your earlier statement, what is very interesting, I'm finding it true, is that digital is far more important. I mean, everyone knows that. But in this environment, we're recognizing that digital is more important and physical is also so precious as well. And so both are important, and bridging both more digital while recognizing how great physical is and enabling that transition is really I think the magic of where innovation opportunities lie. When you think about the announcements, or when we talk about announcements that we're doing at CES, it is around looking and studying the needs of these personas that I mentioned, whether you're a hybrid worker, or you're an SMB, or you're an IT manager, or you are a youth who wants to create. In fact, everyone wants to create. We talk about the use cases: creating, consuming, collaborating. Those are the 3 C's of last year. And we said, hey, we're seeing in our telemetry, people are doing more creating, consuming, collaborating. That was pre-COVID. COVID happens, creating goes through the roof. Consuming content, whether it's video content or gaming, through the roof. Collaborating, look at what we're doing digitally, virtually, through the roof. And so we are really innovating around experiences in those 3 areas, and you see that proliferated across our portfolio.
Can you talk a little bit more? By the way, I love the consistency, and I give credit where credit is due. It's not just analysts who are smart out there. You said the PC was essential before it was cool to talk about that. I remember you and I talked about some research that you had done, and you're like, hey, Pat, we're seeing some key trends in our primary research that we think are quite positive, whether it's Gen Z or whether it's folks utilizing their PCs pre-pandemic for things like video, and the generation who grew up with smartphones saying, hey, they're actually using PCs more. So credit to you, and credit to HP, credit to your research folks for pulling it out. And it was so funny how afraid the rest of the industry was to go out there. And I appreciated you just, laying it out and sharing your research. But let's dive in, if we can, to the product line. In the context of the PC is essential, can you talk about the way you're improving Dragonfly, Envy, bringing out Elite Folio in the context of creating, consuming, and collaborating?
Sure. So one of the key design theaters that's important for most people is the home. Yeah. Whether it's for work or for learning, et cetera. And so we took our cues from studying how people are working in their home. And there's several insights that we're finding. Number one is they're not just in one place. They are moving around in their home. And so the ability to have a device that allows them to move around the home is very important. That will be the case as well when you travel or in the office. And so what you've seen is that we are announcing our flagship 800 series notebook and delivering that in a new light form factor that breaks all of the records that we've had and is really out there around lightweight so that you can move around and use and be productive while you do so. Second thing that we're announcing is
Alex, if which one of the products on here is this? Can you not point to it, but describe it where it is in this lineup?
Yeah, look at the far right, the 840 EliteBook Aero. Far right, yeah, there you go. I see your little pointer there. That's the world's lightest 14-inch mainstream notebook. Again, we don't care about speeds and feeds in and of itself. We care about the experience, and the experience is we allow people to move. It's so light. The other thing that's very important around this device is that it is enabled with a lot of intelligence, AI that we've built into the device based on how you work. What do you care about? You care a lot more about instant on. And so we've enabled this to enable faster on off because you're quickly transitioning from room to room, opening it up, closing it down, et cetera, which is very important. The other thing that continues to be important is recognizing you're in a place where there's other sounds around you. So AI-based noise reductions. So ambient sounds are excluded and people can focus on your voice when you're talking. Again, just looking at how people are working and how they are doing that throughout their day. The other element of this device that's very important is security has never been more important, as you all know. The vulnerabilities of people who are not in a corporate network are only being magnified. And so the best of our security suite is incorporated in this, and we take it even further. We make sure that if you, by chance, misplace a device, it's findable through a unique integration that we have with Tile so that you can find the device. So we're really looking at the life cycle of how a worker works in today's environment, and you see that manifested in our mainstream product, which is our 840 EliteBook.
Nice. Can you talk a little bit about the Elite Folio?
Yeah, happy to. And then you move over to the left there. There you go. And you see that that is our Elite Folio. And what was important to us as we were watching SMBs in particular was they need the diversity of a device that meets the diversity of what they do. And what are they doing? I mean, that is a pull-forward device. We introduced it first in our consumer product, and now we're introducing it in our commercial form factor or in our commercial line. It's the Elite Folio. It has multiple modes that recognizes that you compute in many different ways. Yes, it has a keyboard mode for the productivity of having a keyboard that you can have also while you're on your lap. Secondly, it goes very quickly into tablet mode because often you are jotting things down, and we have a garage pen that automatically, when you take it out, will trigger your whiteboard capability so that you can maximize or be very quick in jotting things down on your device. You also have, guess what? Media consumption mode. So people can dial in and watch things like your 6.5 content. Because what is a SMB doing a lot? They are consuming content on how you do this and how you do that. So maximizing for video consumption that's happening. And all of this is done while recognizing that this device needs to fit into a broader ecosystem of experiences, meaning what you do with your phone. So enabling you to move pictures and files from your phone quickly onto the device. So we've really looked at, again, the day in the life of an SMB, particularly during this time, the diversity of needs, and making sure it's not that the SMB needs to adapt to their device. This device adapts to what the SMB is doing. Again, It's not focusing on the product, it's focusing on the person. That's why I'm really thinking this is about people being essential more than PCs being essential.
Right. And I think one of the product lines that, by the way, I am so glad you updated Folio. It was one of my favorite products. I was at your product launch in New York back when we used to do live events. I loved the leather integration of it. And I'm really looking forward to trying this out. It's fully connected. It's always connected, which is nice. And what I've found cool about this one is it literally, you could mistake it for a Folio. Okay, that has a legal pad inside. But let's shift to Dragonfly. I think you really turned a lot of heads when you brought Dragonfly out. First of all, it wasn't gray, it wasn't black, it wasn't silver. It was, okay, Stacy's gonna, scream, it's blue. I know it's not blue. It's some special
Dragonfly blue.
Dragonfly blue, super light, super thin, convertible. And I know, I've graciously, you've sampled me with a few of these, and people fight to take that one. You're updating Dragonfly as well?
Correct. In fact, we have two iterations of it that we're announcing at CES. First is to make really the beloved Dragonfly, you're right, and bringing it to even more modern capability and enabling with 5G in what we're doing with the latest Dragonfly. And in addition, what we're doing is we're introducing Dragonfly Max. And I think that's particularly important. Dragonfly Max is for us recognizing that what people are doing, again, when I state this, everyone will say, of course we are. People are spending all their time collaborating. They're in Teams calls, Zooms calls. And so this device is the ultimate collaboration device. We not only added features that help in collaboration, we designed for collaboration. And that's a very different effort. So we took the same chassis that was breaking all the records around productivity and thinness, but also a great keyboard, which is still very important. And then what did we do? We improved what I've been calling the eyes, ears, and the mouth of the product, because that's how you connect, right? So what do I mean by that? Start with the webcam. We put in a 5 megapixel and a significantly improved camera system so that people show up better. A very important part of this whole experience of being online. And so I've actually realized that all of the webcams we used to put before, they were just primarily around keeping them small and thin and light. They weren't optimized for zooming. You're looking at people all day long and you want to show up well. So that's first thing. The second thing that we did is recognize not only do you want to be seen well, but you want to be heard well. And so we've increased the clarity of the mic performance by adding in more mics, also ensuring there's AI-enabled noise reduction so you hear what you want to hear and you get people to pay attention to what you want them to hear and not what you don't want to hear. Another key part. The other thing is, guess what? If you're on conference calls all day, you're staring at a screen all day too, right? And so we took this wonderful form factor and then we added in IEs, which is basically a way to keep, as you know, and reduce the pressure and the wear on your eyes while you're on video conferencing. That all being the case, we kept all the security elements, including that we built into the device, and we've introduced even a new color. So I know everyone loved Dragonfly Blue, but as well, we've made it available now in sparkling black because of all the demands for having some more diversity of that. So we've done a lot with this product. I'm personally very excited about it. And by the way, we're also announcing with it the recognition that not only people are conferencing in areas where they can be heard, et cetera, and they're okay with other people hearing, but we're also announcing with it earbuds because privacy and the ability to communicate while having your own earbuds is an important part of that solution. So it's a total solution. It's an experience. Again, it's designing for the person and bringing a lot of innovation to that.
All right, you stole my thunder.
Oh, did I? Okay.
But since you're the guest, you can do that. That's okay. When Pat does it, though, we have little spars on our show. Like, hey, you didn't leave me anything to talk. No, I want to talk about the earbuds in a second here. I do want to say though, you happen to be on with two analysts that love to do video and would love to try the Dragonfly Max. So when that thing's got when you got a few extras lying around there, Alex, you know where to send them, right? All right, just kidding. So listen, I looked through everything that you are launching and very impressive. And thanks, by the way, for sharing. And I love how you tied it all back to this whole 3 Cs. But I will say the wireless earbuds grabbed my attention. Not because I'm not confident that HP won't make a beautiful and great sounding product, but just because it has been sort of a highly scaled field where entrants all over the map, very closely knitted to, I would say, the mobile device, the phone. And so I'm really interested in sort of what spurred the decision to get in that space. You sort of already alluded to it. And then sort of how does HP intend to really stack up and make a go in this particular area?
Yeah. Again, I want to anchor it on what are we paying attention to, and it's what people are doing. And they are collaborating. And we say collaborating, but if I say on Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and people immediately understand. And they're doing that all day long. And in that use case, as we have spent a lot of time now studying what are pain points and what are opportunities, everything around audio continues to show up. Not that it's just important, but that there are pain points in it. And so what we decided to do is a part of this announcement, which is really designing for the total experience, that we would do some work on designing earbuds that met the needs of what our customers are really looking for. And so what are they looking for? Seems very basic, but related to computing. First, they need to pair easily. They need to pair easily on your device. And also, device meaning your PC, your Windows PC, but they also want to use the earbuds not only for their PC, but might be for their iOS device or their Android device. And I think others in the phone space have done a nice job setting the precedent for people learning that pairing should be quick and easy and straightforward. That's number one. We made that basic challenge significantly better by enabling that on this device, not only on our device from a PC perspective, but then so that they can do across multiple devices, including their phone devices. Second thing is we've really focused on the ability to hear and tune for conversation. A lot of tuning is done for music, which is important. And so we've made sure that we keep all the learnings around making music vibrant, but as well, we really focused on being able to hear speech. What are we doing? I'm not singing to you. You don't want me to sing to you. I am talking to you. And we're talking to many different types of people with different voices. And so what we've built into this is very advanced technology. In fact, it's the same technology that's used in high-end hearing aids so that it personalizes its tuning so that based on your ambient environment, what you're able to hear, it maximizes your ability to hear speech. And we think that's very important because we don't want people to be distanced and also miss what was said, whether it was subtle or out loud. And so that's a very important part of what we're trying to build into this. And then maybe finally, I would just say is it's really important that this is a device that lasts throughout the day. It also has great noise reduction, noise cancellation, which is still something that's very important. And again, fits into what people are doing, whether they are doing it for work, yes, also for personal relaxation and entertainment, and customizing it to each person. By the way, turns out that people don't all hear the same. I don't know if you know that, but people don't all hear the same. So personalizing this for how you hear is really the focus. And again, what's our theme? People are essential. People have unique needs. It's not people adapting to the technology. It's technology adapting to them. I cannot be more excited about that direction. And that's an ambition beyond CES 2021. We're going to keep doing this because we're very excited about it and we're passionate about the opportunity.
Yeah. So Alex, we talked years ago, I don't know if you remember, about the unmet need of really having a business focused headphone. And while I'm sure you can play music on these, pretty much everybody's going for the same space. And I was wondering, you know, where is the space for business where it's focused on talking? It's also tested very well. Phones are important, but the PC is important as well. And thank you for adding a USB-C charger. I've recently bought, you know, I mean, there's $249 pairs of headphones that have a micro USB charger on it. I'm just like, that's just so, you know, year 2000 type. But I know it's a little thing, but I think I'm a big believer in the little things add up to people demonstrating and having the confidence that you actually care about what you're doing. But yeah, we'll bring you back, by the way, for your singing. That will be a special insider edition. But Alex, you have been very instrumental and vocal thought leadership about the new normal, how we're going to be working. You talked a little bit about this at the outset, but we'd like to close out this session talking a little bit about what do you see for the remainder of 2021? Are we going to get back to normal, full virtual, remote work situation continue? Where do you sit on that?
Yeah. First is, I won't be one who gives you a timeline. There's a lot of discussion on timeline. What I will say is, I'm a firm believer, based on a lot of discussions. Again, we can do more now.
Yeah.
Within this technology, that there will be a time when we are not restricted as much as we are now from traveling. But that does not mean that we will not take advantage of technology and all the innovations that we're doing now so that you don't have to travel. And I think that's a very important part in recognizing what the new normal is. Again, in my mind, in the future, it will be a hybrid workplace where, yes, you can travel, but you don't have to travel. And that enabled through technology is what I think is going to be exciting. So what does that mean? It means that I don't think people are going to be traveling as much for a 1-hour meeting because you could do it digitally. But by the way, you could still travel. And you don't necessarily have everyone needing to go there because some people can dial in and you won't feel left out if you're the one person who wasn't dialed in or there in person, because we have technology that is very inclusive. You know, our ambition is that distance shouldn't be a barrier. Today, it obviously is in many different ways, but we think that we can reduce the tax on distance by all this technology. Yeah. I think people will be, yes, traveling more because they can, but they're going to choose to not all the time. In fact, if you want breadth, you're going to be scheduling a lot of virtual calls so that you can connect with a broad group of people. And by the way, schooling, yes, kids will be back in the classroom. However, what a great thing that we have, I guess, unintentionally captured, and that is the ability to tap into the resources of people out there who may not have been formally available, but now can be available to teach, mentor, instruct, share. And we're creating the backbone by which all of this knowledge and sharing and wisdom and experience can be tapped into. That's not going to slow down. This is not cyclical, to use our language. The opportunity here around enabling hybrid remote productivity and learning and contribution, that is a great secular trend that, again, we could not be more excited about.
You said the word I was about to say, Alex, hybrid. I think in the end, everything is going to be about balance. We've seen it happen with the way IT manages. We're seeing it with the way we meet. We're seeing it with the way we learn. There's social and physical and reasons why humans will want to continue to connect in physical spaces. But there are also going to be a whole lot of things that we learned, maybe on purpose, maybe on accident, throughout this process of going through. Clearly, you're passionate about it, which is the funnest part about having you on the show. And secondly, that passion is finding its way into the products that are being developed and brought to market, including those that you mentioned today at CES. Now, we could talk for hours with you, but what I have to say is, because this is a show and we got to, we got the producer in our ear right now, so we got to let you go. But because of that, I do want to say you're always welcome back here. I'm sure we'll be inviting you back. We wish you, Alex, a tremendously successful virtual CES 2021. I can promise you, Patrick and I will be watching. We will be sharing and tweeting out our thoughts to the ethers. And we really do genuinely appreciate you and HB being part of the 6.5 podcast. Alex, so we got to say goodbye, but thanks so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Alex. I love having Alex on. This is fun. And I had a real job, Daniel, before I became an industry analyst, and passion is not everything, but it's a lot. And particularly when you're trying to do things differently and drive change. And that's why I love having Alex on and like to see what they're doing. They're taking risks. I like that. I mean, they do risky stuff, which in the PC industry, you just don't see a lot of, because you make a mistake, the margins are low, and you get punished. So I appreciate that.
Well, it's diversifying. It's meeting customers where they are. It's looking at new ways to provide additional value. It's higher attachment rates. But yeah, I wish you'd stop saying that this isn't a real job.
I'm just kidding.
You
had a real job too.
She doesn't read my books. She doesn't.
CEO of a company.
I just know, Pat, that someday she's going to listen to one podcast, and it's going to be the one where you inform her that we don't really work.
That's right.
But in all seriousness, when you love what you do, when the passion's there, I know it's cliche, but it really does make life really good to do this. So, hey, what a show, though, man. Let's take this home for everybody out there. Go ahead and check out the show notes. We're going to go ahead and attach some of the details to some of the launches that Alex Cho mentioned. We'll also try to put links into some of the past episodes, because you got to listen to Alex. We keep bringing him back because he really does do a good job of weaving a story together. So go ahead, click the show notes, click that subscribe button, stick with us. I hope you like what we're doing here. You're seeing we're getting more graphics. We're getting more engaged here. We will be like the next big TV show. Actually, heck, we already are. But hey, for this episode of the 6.5 Podcast Insiders Edition, thanks, HP. Thanks, Alex Cho. Thank you, Patrick Moorhead. Got to say goodbye. See you later. Adios.